A Werewolf Romance by the Alpha's Claim Collection. Prologue. Have you ever woken up at your own wedding, to the wrong groom? I have. And the worst part wasn't the drugs coursing through my veins, or the ceremonial robes I didn't remember putting on, or even the 300 wolves watching in absolute silence as my life was stolen from me. The worst part was hearing my true mate's heart break through a bond that was being severed with every word of the false vows. My name is Lyra Thornwood, and I am 26 years old. Right now, in this very moment, I'm standing at an altar in the Forbidden Grove, and the Alpha reciting bonding vows over me is not the man the moon goddess chose for me. I try to scream, try to run, try to do anything except stand here like a drugged puppet while my entire future is ripped away. But my body won't obey. Whatever they gave me has turned my muscles to water, my voice to silence. I can only watch through eyes that won't quite focus as Caspian Nightshade, Alpha of the Nightshade Pack, 6 feet of brutal ambition wrapped in ceremonial black, lifts my limp hand to his lips. Do you, Lyra Thornwood, accept this bond? The officiant asks. I can't answer. Can't speak. Can't even shake my head. But my father, Alpha Thornwood, answers for me. She accepts. As her Alpha and sire, I speak her consent. No. No. Somewhere beyond the grove, I feel Declan. My real mate. My fated bond. He's close, maybe a quarter-mile away, and he's screaming my name through the connection that's supposed to be eternal and unbreakable. Lyra, fight it. I'm coming, just fight it. I'm trying. Gods, I'm trying. But the drug has me paralyzed, and the dark magic woven into this grove is already beginning its work. The officiant continues, oblivious or uncaring. By the power vested in me by the old laws, by the witness of pack and moon, I bind these two souls. The grove's magic activates. I feel it like ice water in my veins, spreading from my markless neck where Caspian's claiming bite will soon go. This isn't how true bonds work. True bonds are warm, are right, are two souls recognizing each other and choosing to intertwine. This is violation. This is theft. This is rape of the soul itself. Through my haze, I manage to turn my head just enough to see my younger siblings in the crowd. Marcus and Willow, 19 years old, identical twins with our family's dark copper hair and green eyes. They're both crying silently, and I understand. They tried to stop this. They failed. And now they're being forced to watch. Willow's lips move. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The Mark, Caspian says, and his voice is smooth, controlled, completely at odds with what he's doing to me. He tilts my head to expose my neck. With this bite, I claim you as mate, as Luna, as... The bond with Declan screams. I feel it through the drug, through the paralysis, through everything, our connection thrashing like a living thing as it's forced apart. Declan's agony floods through it, and I realize he's not just close. He's here. Right outside the grove's boundary, held back by magic and by... Oh gods. Caspian's warriors have my siblings. I can see them now through the crowd. Marcus and Willow, held by rough hands, silver daggers at their throats. That's why Declan hasn't crashed through the grove's barrier. That's why he hasn't torn apart everyone here with his bare hands. Because they're using my family as hostages. I'm sorry, Declan's voice breaks through our bond. I'm so sorry, my heart. They have them. If I come for you, they die. I have to, I can't. Run, I try to send back, but I don't know if the thought makes it through the interference. Save yourself. Don't watch this. But he doesn't run. I feel him there, feel him bearing witness as Caspian's teeth pierce my neck. The false bond slams into place. It feels wrong. Feels like wearing someone else's skin, like swallowing poison, like every cell in my body screaming in rejection. But it's there. Undeniable. Mystical. Binding. And as it settles, as the dark magic woven into the ceremony does its brutal work, I feel my true bond with Declan begin to dissolve. Not break. Breaking would be kinder. This is a slow erasure, like watching ink fade from a page until the words are just ghosts of what they were. No, Declan howls through our dying connection. Lyra, no, please. I love you, I managed to send. My last words through our bond. I will always love you. This isn't real. This will never be real. And then it's gone. The bond that the moon goddess herself forged between us. The connection that let us find each other across territories, that let us know each other's hearts, that promised us forever is just gone. I feel the emptiness where it used to be. Feel the silence where Declan's presence used to warm me. Feel the wrongness of Caspian's false bond trying to fill that space and failing, because you can't replace destiny with dark magic and expect it to fit. Something else happens then. Something the conspirators didn't plan for. My gift awakens. I'm a healer, one of the rarest wolves in existence, born maybe once every century. I can cure wolfsbane poisoning with a touch, can mend fatal wounds, can sense death approaching, and sometimes, if I'm strong enough, turn it away. But that gift comes from the moon goddess herself. From divine bloodline. From magic that is fundamentally incompatible with the dark ritual being performed on me. The two magics collide inside my body. I feel it immediately, a wrongness spreading through my veins. The false bond trying to take root. My healer nature trying to purge it like poison. The two forces tearing at each other, and I'm the battlefield. Pain. Sudden and absolute. I gasp, the first sound I've managed since the ceremony started, and blood trickles from my nose. Caspian steps back, his expression flickering from triumph to confusion. What? More blood. From my eyes this time. From my ears. My body is rejecting the bond so violently that it's tearing itself apart. Stop the ceremony. Someone shouts. Elder Mira, the pack's seer, her face pale with horror. The magics are incompatible. You're killing her. Finish it, my father commands. Complete the bond before. But it's too late. The dark magic and my divine gift reach critical mass. I feel my body beginning to disintegrate, not metaphorically, literally. My fingers start to dissolve into silver light, the same light that appears when healers work miracles. Except this isn't a miracle. This is my gift trying to save me the only way it knows how, by breaking me down to my essential essence and hoping it can rebuild me somewhere the dark magic can't reach. Lyra. Willow screams. I want to tell her it's okay. Want to tell them all that I forgive them, even my father, even Caspian, even every wolf who stood here and watched this happen. But I can't speak. Can only watch as my body dissolves into light, as the pain finally, mercifully stops, as everything fades to silver and white and then to nothing at all. My last conscious thought, at least I didn't let them win. At least I died free. But here's the thing about death. Sometimes it's not the end. Sometimes it's a negotiation. Let me take you back to 3 days ago. To the hunt that should have been routine. To the moment I met my mate and everything started to unravel. To the beginning of the nightmare that would kill me. And transform me into something the wolf world has never seen before. Before we dive into this story, I want to know, where in the world are you right now? Comment below with your location and the time. Morning in London? Afternoon in New York? Evening in Sydney? Night in Tokyo? I love seeing how far our werewolf-loving community spans across the globe. This is the story of Lyra Thornwood. A rare healer who was betrayed by her own father, forced into a dark bonding ceremony that killed her, and returned from death itself with the moon goddess's blessing and exactly 7 days to reclaim her life. If you're ready for a tale of devastating betrayal, impossible choices, and a love that literally conquered death, show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing for more epic audiobooks like this one. Be part of the conversation. Tell me where you're listening from in the comments. Let's build the most connected paranormal romance community. Alright, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Prophecy and the Plot. 3 days earlier. The mandatory pack assembly was scheduled for noon, which meant something serious was happening. Routine announcements happened at dawn or dusk. Noon assemblies were reserved for declarations of war, alpha challenges, or, apparently, life-altering prophecies that would destroy everything you thought your future held. I stood in the great hall of Thornwood Manor, watching wolves file in through the massive oak doors. The hall could hold 500 easily, with its vaulted ceilings carved with running wolves and windows that cast colored light across the stone floors. Today, it held maybe 200, every adult wolf in our pack, plus visiting dignitaries from neighboring territories. Do you know what this is about? Willow whispered beside me, her green eyes worried. My twin siblings were nearly inseparable, but right now Marcus was across the hall with the other young warriors, leaving Willow to stand with me in the healers section. No idea, I murmured back. But Father's been in his study with Elder Mira for 3 days straight. Whatever she saw, it's big. Seers were almost as rare as healers. Elder Mira had been with our pack for 60 years, and her prophecies had never been wrong. When she went into a prophetic trance, alphas listened. The crowd settled as my father took his position at the front of the hall. Alpha Thornwood was 53, but looked 40, with the same copper hair as his children and eyes like flint. He ruled Thornwood Pack with absolute authority, and every wolf in this room would die for him without question. I used to think that was admirable. Used to think his strength meant protection, meant safety. I was so naive. 3 days ago, Father began, his alpha voice carrying easily across the hall. Elder Mira experienced a prophetic vision. What she saw concerns the future of our pack. Of all packs. He gestured to the ancient seer. Elder, please share your vision. Mira stepped forward, leaning heavily on her carved walking stick. At 87, she was the oldest wolf in the territory, her face a map of wrinkles and wisdom. When she spoke, her voice was thin but clear. I saw the healer, she said, and every eye in the room turned to me. Heat crept up my neck. I saw Lyra Thornwood bonded to her true mate. And from their union, I saw a bloodline rise that would reshape the wolf world. Children born with gifts we haven't seen in millennia. Healers in every generation. Seers. Warriors who could shift at will, even under the new moon. A bloodline of such power that packs would bow before it or be swept aside. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Excited murmurs. This was good news, right? A powerful bloodline meant a powerful pack. But I was watching my father's face. And what I saw there wasn't excitement. It was calculation. And fear. There's more, Mira continued. The prophecy specifies the bond must be pure. Must be chosen freely by both parties. If the healer is forced, if the bond is corrupted or coerced, the bloodline will be cursed instead of blessed. The children will be born with power, yes, but power that destroys rather than creates. They will be abominations. God-touched and God-cursed in equal measure. The murmurs turned uncertain. Who is the true mate? Someone called out. Has Lyra already found him? My heart clenched. Because yes, I had. 6 months ago, during the summer gathering where 5 packs met to resolve disputes and arrange trade agreements, I'd felt the pull. Had followed it through crowds of wolves until I found him. Declan Stormborn. Beta of Ire Peak Pack. 28 years old, with dark hair that fell into eyes the color of amber, a warrior's build tempered by a scholar's mind. He was strong but not flashy about it, intelligent but not arrogant, kind in a way that felt revolutionary among wolves who valued dominance above all else. Our eyes had met across the gathering hall. The bond had snapped into place with such force that we'd both staggered. And then we'd spent 3 perfect days getting to know each other, talking until dawn, discovering that the mate bond hadn't been wrong, we fit. Not just our souls, but our minds, our humor, our hopes for what the wolf world could become. We'd agreed to take it slow, to court properly, to let our packs adjust to the idea of a cross-territory bond. To do everything right. My father had forbidden it within a week of my return. Lyra, Father's voice snapped me back to the present. Step forward. I did, my healer's instincts already screaming that something was very wrong. The way the crowd parted for me felt less like respect and more like wolves backing away from an execution. Have you found your mate? Father asked, his voice carefully neutral. I could lie. Should lie, probably. But healers can't lie. It's not that we're physically incapable, but our gift is rooted in truth, in seeing what's really wrong with a body or soul. Deception feels like poison on our tongues. Yes, I said quietly. Name him. Declan Stormborn. Beta of Ire Peak Pack. More murmurs. I caught the looks being exchanged, some approving, some calculating, some openly dismissive. A beta, Father said, and his tone made it sound like an insult. Not an alpha. Not even an heir. Just a beta. He's a good man, I said, finding my spine. He's strong, intelligent, kind. The bond is real, Father. The moon goddess chose him for me. The moon goddess chose poorly. The words landed like physical blows. Around me, wolves gasped. You didn't question the moon goddess's wisdom. You didn't dismiss a true mate bond. Unless you were Alpha Thornwood and you'd decided pack politics mattered more than divine will. The prophecy is clear, Father continued. A powerful bloodline will rise from Lyra's union. But power requires proper foundation. A beta mate will produce beta children, competent, useful, but not exceptional. For this prophecy to reach its full potential, Lyra must bond with an alpha. That's not how mate bonds work, I said, my voice shaking. You can't substitute someone else and expect the same result. The prophecy said the bond must be pure, must be chosen freely. I have chosen, Father interrupted. As your alpha. As your sire. I choose on your behalf. The hall went silent. Even the visiting dignitaries looked uncomfortable now. Elder Mira spoke up, her voice sharp with warning. Alpha Thorne, I must counsel against this. The vision was explicit. Free choice. Pure bond. Anything else courts disaster. Your concern is noted, Elder, Father said dismissively. Then he gestured toward the hall's entrance. Allow me to introduce our guest. The doors opened. The wolf who entered made every warrior in the room tense instinctively. He was huge. Easily 6'5", built like violence incarnate, with black hair and eyes so dark they looked like chips of obsidian. He wore no ceremonial robes, just simple combat leathers that did nothing to hide the raw power radiating from him. Caspian Nightshade. Alpha of the Nightshade Pack. I'd heard of him. Everyone had. Nightshade Pack controlled the Northern Territories, 300 warriors, the largest standing army in the region. They were known for two things. Military might and absolute ruthlessness. Caspian hadn't gained his position through inheritance. He'd challenged his predecessor at age 22 and killed him in single combat. Had spent the next 6 years consolidating power, crushing rivals, and building an empire. He was, by all accounts, brilliant and terrifying in equal measure. And he was walking directly toward me with the focused intensity of a predator who'd already decided I was prey. Alpha Thorne, Caspian's voice was deep, controlled, urbane. Thank you for the invitation. I came as soon as I received your message about the prophecy. They'd been talking. Before the assembly. Before any of this was made public. My father had been planning this. Alpha Caspian, Father said warmly. Allow me to present my daughter. Lyra, this is Alpha Caspian Nightshade. He's expressed interest in forming an alliance between our packs. An alliance built on mate bonding, Caspian said, his dark eyes fixing on me. You're a healer. That gift hasn't appeared in 3 generations. Combined with my pack's military strength. He smiled, and it was the smile of someone who'd already won and was just waiting for everyone else to realize it. We would be unstoppable. I have a mate, I said, and I didn't care that my voice came out too loud, too sharp. A true mate. Chosen by the moon goddess herself. A beta, Caspian dismissed. Adequate for a normal wolf, perhaps. But you're not normal, Lyra. You're a healer. Your children will reshape the world. Don't waste that potential on mediocrity when you could build an empire. I don't want an empire. I want. What you want is irrelevant. Father cut in and his alpha command rolled through the words, making every wolf in the room bow their heads instinctively. Except me. Except Caspian. And except Willow, who stepped forward despite the command, her face pale but determined. Father, you can't do this. The prophecy specifically said. The prophecy said powerful bloodline, Father snapped. Which requires an alpha mate. Lyra will bond with Caspian. The alliance will proceed. This is not a discussion. It's a negotiation, Caspian corrected mildly. I'm not interested in an unwilling mate. Lyra, I'm offering you a choice. Bond with me willingly, and I'll make you Luna of the most powerful pack in the region. You'll have resources, protection, everything your gift needs to flourish. Or, his voice hardened, refuse, and I'll simply take what I need through conquest. Your pack will fall, your family will be absorbed into mine, and you'll bond with me anyway. The only difference is how many wolves die first. It wasn't a choice. It was extortion. I looked at my father, desperate for him to intervene, to protect his daughter the way an alpha was supposed to protect his pack. But Thornwood was looking at Caspian with something like respect. Like admiration for the efficient brutality of the threat. You have 3 days to decide, Father said to me. Use them wisely. The assembly dissolved into chaos, wolves arguing, visitors leaving, my siblings trying to reach me through the crowd. But I was frozen. Staring at my father and seeing him clearly for the first time. He wasn't protecting me. He was selling me. Trading his daughter's future for political power and the chance to control a prophesied bloodline. I turned and ran. Pushed through the crowd, through the doors, out into the courtyard where I could breathe, where the walls weren't closing in. Marcus caught up with me first, his hand gentle on my shoulder. Lyra, we'll figure this out. Willow and I will help you. How? I demanded. He's Alpha. Caspian is Alpha. I'm just a healer. What am I supposed to do against that? Run, Willow said, appearing on my other side. Tonight, we'll help you get to Iron Peak territory. To Declan. Once you're bonded, Father can't force you into another match. Hope flared. Could we? The border is 10 miles through rough terrain, Marcus said, his tactical mind already working. If we leave at midnight, move fast, we could make it by dawn. Father wouldn't start pursuit until morning assembly, by then you'd be across the border. But what about you two? I asked. Father will punish you for helping me. Let him, Willow said fiercely. You're our sister. You think we're going to stand by and watch you be traded like property? I pulled them both into a hug, fighting tears. Thank you. Gods, thank you. We made plans in whispers. What to pack. Which route to take. How to avoid patrols. It could work. It had to work. Because the alternative, bonding with Caspian, spending my life as a political tool, bearing children for an empire I wanted no part of, was worse than death. At least that's what I thought. I didn't know yet that within 3 days, I'd experience both. The bonding and the death. Chapter 2, The Hunt and the Fall. The escape plan lasted exactly 4 hours before it all went to hell. We were supposed to leave at midnight. Slip out during the guard change when the night patrols were at their least attentive. Marcus had mapped the route, 10 miles through the forest to Iron Peak territory, sticking to the creek beds where our scent would be harder to track. Simple. Clean. Possible. Except Father was smarter than we'd given him credit for. At 8 p.m., a knock came on my chamber door. Not my father, he wouldn't knock. Not my siblings, they'd use our signal. My healer senses prickled with warning even before I opened it. Victor stood in the hallway. Head warrior of Thornwood pack. 40 years old, built like a battering ram, with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow from some long-ago battle. He'd trained every warrior in our territory for the last 15 years, and his loyalty to my father was absolute. Luna Lyra, he said, and the use of the Luna title I didn't have yet made my skin crawl. Alpha Thorne requests your presence for a routine patrol. He wants to ensure your safety given the heightened tensions. I'm fine here, I said, already moving to close the door. Tell Father I. Victor's hand shot out, catching the door. His expression was apologetic but immovable. It's not a request, Luna. Please, don't make this difficult. 2 more warriors appeared behind him. Younger, but no less intimidating. I was outnumbered, outmuscled, and increasingly certain this had nothing to do with my safety. Let me change, I said, trying to buy time. I'm not dressed for patrol. You're fine as you are. Come. No choice. I followed them through the manor, down the servants' stairs to avoid the main halls, out through the kitchen entrance where no one would see us leave. The forest at night was a different creature than by day. Shadows moved wrong. Sounds carried strangely. Every sense I had screamed danger. Where are we going? I asked as we moved deeper into the territory. The eastern border, Victor said. There's been some rogues spotted. Nothing serious, but your father wants a healer present in case any of our scouts were injured in the skirmishes. Plausible. Reasonable even. Except my gift wasn't pinging any injured wolves in range. And we were moving away from the eastern border, not toward it. We were heading northwest. Toward the Forbidden Grove. Victor, I said, stopping. This isn't the way to the eastern border. Special route, he said. Avoiding the areas where rogues were spotted. I'm not going any further until you tell me what's really happening. Victor sighed. Looked at the two warriors with him. Nodded. They moved faster than I could react. One grabbed my arms, pinning them behind my back. The other produced a cloth from his pocket. I could smell the chemical sweetness of whatever was soaked into it. Wolfsbane extract. Not enough to kill, but enough to disorient, to weaken, to make shifting impossible. I'm sorry, Luna, Victor said, and he actually sounded regretful. Orders are orders. The cloth pressed over my mouth and nose. I struggled, tried to hold my breath, but they were too strong and I had to breathe eventually. The drug hit my system like ice water. My vision blurred. My muscles went slack. I felt my wolf retreating deep inside me, too weakened to emerge. They caught me as I fell. Gently, Victor instructed. She's valuable cargo. Nothing happens to her until the ceremony. Ceremony. The word cut through my drugged haze. They were taking me to the grove. To force the bonding. Tonight. Not in 3 days, now. I tried to call through the mate bond to Declan. Tried to send distress, location, anything. But the wolfsbane disrupted that too. All I got was static, like trying to shout underwater. They carried me through the forest. Time became elastic, could have been minutes or hours. The drug made everything surreal, disconnected. I was aware of being laid on stone. Of ceremonial robes being draped over my regular clothes. Of voices chanting in the old language, the words that preceded bonding rituals. And then I felt him. Declan. He'd felt something through our bond. Some echo of my distress. He was close. I could sense him getting closer, and with him came other wolves. Ire Peak warriors. Hope flared through the drug haze. He was coming. He'd stop this. But then I heard Victor's voice, sharp with command. Bring them. New sounds. Struggling. Gasps. Through my blurred vision, I saw them dragged into the grove. Marcus and Willow. My siblings. Both conscious, but held by multiple warriors each, silver daggers pressed to their throats. No, I tried to say, but it came out as a slurred moan. You can feel him, can't you? Victor said, crouching beside me. Your mate. He's about a quarter-mile out, coming fast with maybe 20 Ire Peak wolves. Good warriors. In a straight fight, they might even win. He gestured to my siblings. But it won't be a straight fight. The moment they breach the grove's barrier, the moment they try to stop this ceremony, your brother and sister die. So you're going to lie there quietly. You're going to let this happen. And he's going to stand outside that barrier and watch, because he's smart enough to know he can't save all 3 of you. Please, I managed. Don't. They're innocent. Nobody's innocent, Victor said. We're all just doing what we have to do to survive. The chanting grew louder. I felt the grove's dark magic activating, ancient power woven into the stones, the trees, the earth itself. This place had been used for forced bondings before, centuries ago when arranged matches were common and love was considered a luxury. The magic remembered. And it was eager to work again. Caspian appeared, already dressed in ceremonial robes. He looked down at me with something that might have been pity. I did offer you a choice, he said. You should have taken it. This way is Messier for everyone. Then Declan's voice, anguished and furious, echoed from beyond the grove's perimeter. Lyra. I felt him hit the barrier. Felt the magic repel him like a physical blow. He tried again and again, each impact sending shockwaves through the bond we still shared. Don't. I tried to scream to him. They have Marcus and Willow. Don't. but my voice was too weak, too slurred from the drugs. Caspian raised his hand and the barrier became visible, a shimmering dome of sickly green light. Declan was there, in wolf form, massive and dark-furred, throwing himself against the barrier over and over while Ire Peak warriors tried to find weak points. "He can hear everything," Caspian said conversationally. "The barrier blocks physical passage, but sound travels through. So he'll hear every word of the ceremony. Feel it through your bond as it happens. It's cruel, I'll admit, but effective. By the time this is done, he'll know you belong to someone else. He'll accept it. Eventually." "Monster," I slurred. "Realist," he corrected. "The world doesn't run on fairy tales and true love, Lyra. It runs on power. And you're about to make me the most powerful alpha in the region." My father appeared then, his face carefully neutral. No regret. No shame. Just cold calculation. "Begin," he ordered. The officiant, some ancient wolf I didn't recognize, clearly brought in specifically for this, began the dark ritual. Not the normal bonding ceremony blessed by the moon goddess, but the old way. The forced way. "We gather under the old laws," the officiant intoned. "Where pack needs supersedes personal choice. Where alpha authority exceeds individual will. Where blood and power create bonds that transcend love." Outside the barrier, Declan was howling. The sound tore at my heart, raw grief and rage and helplessness all twisted together. "I'm sorry, I tried to send through our bond. I'm so sorry. I tried to run. I tried. It's not your fault," his voice came back, barely coherent through his fury. "I'll get you out. I'll find a way. Just stay alive, Lyra. Just stay alive and I'll..." The officiant placed his hand on my forehead. The dark magic surged. "This bond requires sacrifice," he said. "A life offered freely to seal the union." Victor dragged someone else into my blurred field of vision. A woman. Omega, by her slight build and the way she whimpered rather than fought. I knew her. Knew her scent. Elena Riverstone. My childhood friend. An Omega who worked in the manor's kitchens, who'd never hurt anyone, who had 3 young children waiting for her at home. "No," I tried to fight the paralysis. "No, not her, please." "Do you accept this sacrifice?" the officiant asked Caspian. "I do." "Do you accept this bond, built on blood and old magic?" "I do." "Then let the ritual be complete." Victor's knife flashed. Elena's scream cut off abruptly. Her blood splashed across the ritual stones, and the dark magic drank it in, surged higher, began weaving itself into an obscene parody of a true mate bond. I felt it. Felt the false connection trying to force itself into existence. Felt my healer gift recoil in revulsion. And I felt the exact moment my true bond with Declan began to tear. Not a clean break. A slow ripping, like skin being flayed away layer by layer. His anguish flooded through it, and mine reflected back, and we were trapped in a feedback loop of shared agony as everything the moon goddess had created between us was systematically destroyed. "Stop it." Declan's voice, human now, hoarse from screaming. "Please. I'll do anything. Name your price. Just stop hurting her." But they didn't stop. Caspian lifted my limp body, positioned my head to expose my neck. His canines extended, the bite that would seal the false bond. "I'm sorry," I whispered to Declan through our dying connection. "I love you. I will always love you. Don't," he begged. "Don't say goodbye. Don't you dare say goodbye." Caspian's teeth sank into my neck. The false bond crashed into place with the force of a physical blow. I felt it wrap around my soul like chains, like ice, like everything wrong and twisted and evil. And I felt my true bond with Declan finally, mercifully, snap completely. The silence where he used to be was worse than any pain. Then my healer gift, which had been trying to resist the corruption, went into full revolt. The two magics, divine healing versus dark bonding, collided inside my body with catastrophic results. I felt my cells beginning to tear themselves apart at the molecular level. Felt blood vessels rupturing. Felt organs starting to fail. "Something's wrong," Caspian said, stepping back. "She's..." Blood poured from my nose. From my eyes. From my ears. My healer gift was trying to save me the only way it knew how, by breaking me down to pure essence, to divine energy that the dark magic couldn't touch. But that meant destroying my mortal form in the process. "Stop the ritual," someone screamed. "Elder Mira, I think. The magics are tearing her apart." "Complete it," my father roared. "Seal the bond before." Too late. The magic reached critical mass. My body exploded into silver light. The same light healers emit when performing miracles, but twisted, agonized, wrong. I felt myself disintegrating. Felt every atom of my being vibrating apart. Felt my consciousness fragmenting like shattered glass. The last thing I heard was Declan's voice, broken beyond repair. "No. No, 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 Lyra." Then nothing. Just light. Just pain. Just the absolute certainty that I was dying, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. My body dissolved completely. 300 wolves witnessed it, saw me burn away to nothing, saw the light fade, saw the space where I'd been standing become just empty air and scattered ash. I died in the Forbidden Grove, murdered by dark magic and my father's ambition. But death, as it turned out, was just the beginning. Chapter 3. The Price of Dark Magic. I died at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday in October. I know the exact time because the first thing I became aware of in death was a clock. An old grandfather clock, its face showing 9:47, its pendulum frozen mid-swing. I was standing in a room I didn't recognize. Not the Forbidden Grove. Not anywhere in the mortal world, I was fairly certain. The room was circular, with walls made of what looked like mother of pearl. Iridescent, shifting through colors I didn't have names for. The floor was polished obsidian that reflected not my image but my memories. I could see them playing out beneath my feet like trapped ghosts, every moment of my life, from birth to death, available for review. "Hello." My voice echoed strangely, like multiple versions of me speaking slightly out of sync. "Hello, Lyra Thornwood." I spun toward the voice. A woman stood in the center of the room where there'd been nothing a moment before. She was tall, maybe 6 feet, with hair that cascaded down her back in waves of silver white. Her skin was the color of moonlight on water, pale and luminous. Her eyes were the most striking thing about her, pupilless, just solid silver that seemed to see through me, past me, into the very core of what I was. She wore robes that looked like they were woven from starlight and shadow, constantly shifting, never quite the same from one second to the next. I knew who she was before she spoke again. Every wolf knew. We were told stories of her from childhood, taught to revere her, to pray to her when the moon was full. "Moon goddess," I breathed and dropped to my knees instinctively. "Rise," she said gently. "We're beyond formalities here. You're dead. I'm divine. Let's speak plainly." I stood on shaky legs. Where am I? The between place. The space that exists in the moment of death, before the soul moves on to what comes next. She moved closer, studying me with those unsettling silver eyes. "You died badly. Violently. Betrayed by your own father, murdered by dark magic that should never have been used. I felt your death from my realm. Felt the wrongness of it. Then why didn't you stop it?" The words came out sharper than I intended, but I was dead. What was she going to do, kill me twice? To my surprise, she smiled. "Because I can't interfere directly in mortal affairs. That's the rule. The wolves have free will, even when they use it for evil. Even when they corrupt my gifts for their own purposes." Her expression hardened. "But I can offer choices when someone dies unjustly. And your death, Lyra Thornwood, was very unjust indeed. Choices." She gestured and the room shifted. One wall became transparent, showing me scenes like windows into other realities. In one window, I saw myself fading into pure light, my essence dissolving into the cosmic background, my consciousness merging with everything and nothing. Peace. Complete, absolute peace. "That's death," the moon goddess said. "True death. Releasing your individual consciousness back into the universe. Rejoining the cycle. Meeting your ancestors who've gone before. No more pain. No more struggle. Just eternal rest." It looked beautiful. Tempting. After the agony of what I'd just experienced, the promise of peace called to me like a siren song. What's the other choice? I asked. The second window showed me something else. Showed me standing in the mortal world, but changed. My skin had an otherworldly quality, like I wasn't quite solid. Silver scars traced across my arms, my neck, my face, lightning patterns that glowed faintly. My hair had turned white blonde, and my eyes. My eyes were exactly like hers. Solid silver. Pupilless. Otherworldly. Revenant, the moon goddess said. Neither fully alive nor completely dead. You would return to the mortal world with a portion of my power. The ability to heal as you always could. But also the ability to harm. To kill with a touch. To show the living what death feels like without actually sending them to it. Why would you offer me that? Because what was done to you is an abomination. Because your father and Caspian Nightshade violated every sacred law. Because an innocent Omega died to fuel their dark magic. Because your true mate bond was destroyed for political gain. Her silver eyes blazed. Because I am tired of watching my children, especially my daughters, be treated as property instead of people. She moved closer, and I felt the weight of her divine nature pressing against me like atmospheric pressure. I offer you vengeance, Lyra. 7 days as a revenant. 7 days to use my power to expose the conspiracy, to punish the guilty, to protect those who would be victimized next. 7 days to be the hand of divine justice in a world that sorely needs it. 7 days. Just a week. It seemed both impossibly short and terrifyingly long. What happens after 7 days? I asked. You choose again, she said. If you can reclaim your true mate bond. If Declan accepts you in your revenant form, if you can break Caspian's false bond, if you can restore what was stolen, then you return to full life. Mortal, vulnerable, but alive. You get your future back. And if I can't? Then you remain revenant forever. Eternal. Powerful. But never truly alive again. Never aging. Never able to have the children the prophecy promised. Never able to feel sunshine the way mortals do, or taste food, or experience simple human joys. You become something other. Something between. The weight of that choice pressed down on me. There's a catch, I said. Because there was always a catch. Isn't there? The moon goddess's smile was sad. Every life you take with your death touch, you lose one day. Use your vengeance carelessly, kill 7 people out of rage instead of justice, and you'll run out of time before you can reclaim your bond. You'll be trapped as revenant forever. So I have to choose carefully. Who deserves death and who deserves mercy? Exactly. She tilted her head. It's designed to prevent you from becoming the monster your father claimed you'd be if you bonded outside his control. Designed to make you think, to judge carefully, to use your power for justice instead of just revenge. I thought about my father. About Victor. About Caspian. About all the wolves who'd stood by and watched me be murdered. 7 days. 7 chances to kill. 7 decisions about who deserved to die for what they'd done. What about my siblings? I asked. What about Declan? If I become revenant, will they even recognize me? They'll recognize your soul, the moon goddess said. Your essence. But you'll be changed in ways that will frighten them. Willow and Marcus will see their sister returned from death. Declan will see his mate, but not as she was. The living world isn't kind to those who exist between states, Lyra. You'll be other. Strange. Something that makes normal wolves deeply uncomfortable. But I'd have a chance, I said slowly. A chance to fix this. To expose what they did. To save other wolves from the same fate. Yes. I looked at the window showing true death. Peace. Rest. An end to pain. Then at the window showing revenant life. Power. Justice. A chance to fight back. In true death, I'd be free. But my siblings would still be under my father's control. Declan would be broken, his mate bond severed, his heart destroyed. Other healers would be hunted, captured, forced into political matches. The corruption would continue. In revenant life, I could stop it. Could expose the conspiracy. Could protect the vulnerable. Could maybe, if I was smart and careful and lucky, reclaim the future that was stolen from me. I choose revenant, I said. The moon goddess studied me for a long moment. You understand what you're accepting? The isolation? The way the living will fear you? The impossible task of breaking a dark bond that's already set. I understand that my father murdered me for political power. I understand that an innocent Omega died because of his ambition. I understand that if I don't stop him, he'll do it again. To someone else's daughter. Someone else's sister. Someone else's mate. I met her silver eyes with my own. I choose justice over peace. 7 days is better than eternity if I can use them to make things right. She smiled then, a real smile, proud and fierce. You are my blood, Lyra Thornwood. More than you know. The first healer was my own daughter, born of my union with a mortal wolf. Your gift comes from divine lineage. Every healer carries a piece of my essence. That explained why the dark magic had reacted so violently with my gift. Divine nature and dark ritual were fundamentally incompatible. Then help me, I said. Show me how to use these powers. How to be Revenant without losing myself. How to get justice without becoming everything they accused me of being. I'll do better than that, the moon goddess said. She reached out and touched my forehead with one luminous finger. Power flooded through me. Not overwhelming, she was careful, controlled. But I felt it settling into my bones, my blood, my very soul. Felt myself changing, transforming, becoming something new. You have my blessing, she said. My power. And my protection. The dark bond Caspian forced on you cannot touch your Revenant form. It affects only your mortal body, which no longer exists. When you return to life, if you return, then you'll need to break it. But for now, you're free of it. Relief crashed through me. The false bond was gone. I couldn't feel it anymore. Couldn't feel Caspian's presence in my head. What about Declan? I asked. Our true bond, is it really destroyed? The mortal connection was severed when you died, she said gently. But the soul bond, the recognition of each other as mates, that endures beyond death. He'll know you. Feel drawn to you. But rebuilding the full bond will take time, trust, and his acceptance of what you've become. 7 days, I said. I have 7 days to make him understand, to expose my father, to fix everything. Less, if you use your death touch, she reminded me. Choose your targets carefully, Lyra. Justice, not vengeance. Protection, not punishment. Be better than they were. I nodded. How do I return? Just will it. Think of where you want to be, and my power will take you there. She stepped back. One more thing, children can see revenants more clearly than adults. Their eyes haven't learned what's possible and what's not. If you want to remain hidden, avoid the young ones. Noted. Then go, the moon goddess said. 7 days. Make them count. The between place began to dissolve. The mother of pearl walls faded. The obsidian floor cracked and fell away into silver mist. The last thing I saw was the moon goddess's eyes, ancient and knowing and infinitely sad. Show them what divine justice looks like, my child, her voice echoed as I fell through dimensions. And come back alive. I'd very much like to meet you properly when this is all over. Then I was falling, tumbling through space that wasn't space, through time that moved wrong, through the barrier between life and death and back again. I thought of Thornwood territory, of my room in the manor, of home. The Revenant power responded. Reality reassembled around me. I was standing in my chambers, exactly where I'd been taken from. The room looked the same, my books on the shelves, my clothes in the wardrobe, my healing supplies organized on the desk. But I was different. I looked down at my hands and saw the silver scars tracing across my skin like lightning. Saw my flesh, solid but somehow translucent, like I was made of moonlight given form. I moved to the mirror and gasped. White blonde hair. Silver eyes with no pupils. Skin pale as death. The same ceremonial robes I died in, but cleaner now, perfect, untouched by blood or ash. I looked like a ghost. Like a divine being. Like something that definitely shouldn't exist in the mortal world. Perfect. Let them see what they created. Let them understand what happens when you murder a healer blessed by the moon goddess herself. I tested my new abilities. Thought about becoming invisible and felt my form shift, become translucent. Barely there. Thought about being solid and felt myself snap back into full visibility. I could control it. Good. I reached out with my healer senses, searching for my siblings. Found them immediately, both in their shared suite 3 floors down. Both crying. Both radiating grief so intense it made my chest ache. They thought I was dead. Had watched me disintegrate. Had probably spent the last hour in shock and mourning. Time to show them otherwise. I thought of their room and felt the Revenant power respond. The world blurred, shifted, and suddenly I was standing in their suite. Willow saw me first. She'd been curled on her bed, face buried in her pillow, but she lifted her head at the sudden presence in the room. Her eyes went wide. Lyra? Marcus spun from where he'd been pacing by the window. Stared at me like I was a hallucination. Hi, I said, and my voice came out strange, layered, like multiple versions of me speaking at slightly different pitches. Sorry to drop in unannounced. Willow scrambled off the bed, reaching for me, then stopped. You're dead. We saw you die. You dissolved into light and... I did die, I confirmed. But the moon goddess offered me a choice. Come back as Revenant or move on to true death. I chose to come back. Revenant, Marcus whispered. He was the scholar of the family, had probably read every ancient text in our library. Those are just myths. Stories to scare children. Apparently not, I said. I held out my hand, showing them the silver scars. I have 7 days. 7 days with divine power to expose Father's conspiracy, to free myself from Caspian's bond, to make things right. 7 days, Willow repeated. Then she crossed the remaining distance and hugged me fiercely. Then we have 7 days to fix this nightmare. Marcus joined the embrace, and I let myself be held by my siblings, let myself feel their warmth and love and utter relief that I wasn't actually gone. What do you need from us? Marcus asked when we finally pulled apart. Information? Alibis? Distractions? Everything, I said. I need to know where Father is, where Caspian is, what they're planning next. I need to know who else was involved. And I need my voice caught, I need to know about Declan. Is he okay? Did he make it back to Iron Peak territory? The look my siblings exchanged told me the answer before they spoke. He's in the dungeon, Willow said quietly. Father had him arrested the moment the ceremony ended. Charged him with attempting to disrupt a legal bonding, with crossing pack borders with hostile intent, with trying to steal property, meaning you. That belonged to Thornwood pack. Rage flooded through me, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Frost formed on the windows. Property, I said, my voice deadly calm. He called me property. Lyra, Marcus said carefully, watching the ice spreading across the glass, you need to control your emotions. Your power responds to what you're feeling. If you lose control. I took a breath. Forced the anger down. The frost stopped spreading. Right. Control. Got it. I paced the room, thinking. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I need you two to be my eyes and ears in the normal world. Gather information. Find out who else was involved in the conspiracy. Document everything. What are you going to do? Willow asked. I smiled, and it was not a nice expression. I'm going to visit some people in their dreams. Starting with Victor. He killed Elena. He drugged me. He held you two hostage. And I'm going to make sure he understands exactly what he did. The death touch. Marcus asked nervously. Not yet, I said. I'm not wasting my days on him. But I can show him things. Make him experience what Elena felt when she died. Make him live with that memory every time he closes his eyes. I looked at my siblings. Is that too dark? Am I becoming the monster already? No, Willow said firmly. You're making him face consequences. That's justice, not monstrosity. 7 days, I repeated, as much to remind myself as them. 7 days to expose the conspiracy, free Declan, and reclaim my life. Think we can do it? With a revenant powered by the moon goddess herself? Marcus grinned. Yeah, I think we've got a shot. I hugged them both again, memorizing their warmth, their solidity, their aliveness. Because I wasn't alive. Not really. I was something between. Something other. And in 7 days, I'd either return to life fully, or I'd be trapped in this state forever. Better make them count. Chapter 4. The Awakening. Victor slept in the warrior's barracks, in a private room befitting his rank as head warrior. I stood invisible in the corner, watching him sleep. He looked peaceful, untroubled, like a man who hadn't murdered an innocent Omega just hours ago. That was about to change. I'd never entered someone's dreams before, didn't even know it was possible until the moon goddess showed me how during my transformation. But the knowledge was there now, instinctive, like my healer abilities had always been. I reached out with my Revenant power and touched Victor's sleeping mind. The transition was jarring. One moment I was in his room, the next I was inside his dream, a generic training scenario where he was demonstrating combat techniques to eager young warriors. Time to change the script. I manifested in the dream, fully visible, exactly as I looked in death. White hair, silver eyes, lightning scars. The works. The dream Victor stopped mid-demonstration, staring at me. Lyra? His voice was uncertain. But you're dead? I finished. Yes, thanks to you. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences, Victor? Did you think the moon goddess would just let you murder her chosen healer and walk away unpunished? The training ground dissolved, reformed into the forbidden grove. The ceremony. The moment. No, Victor said, backing away. This is just a dream. You're dead. You can't. Watch, I commanded, and my voice carried divine authority that made him freeze in place. I showed him Elena's death from her perspective, made him feel what she felt, the terror as she was dragged to the altar, the confusion as she realized she was the sacrifice, the pain as Victor's knife slid between her ribs, the cold as her life bled out onto the stones. Made him feel her last thoughts, my children. Who will take care of my children? Victor screamed. Tried to look away. But in the dream, I controlled everything. You murdered a mother, I said. An innocent Omega who never harmed anyone. You killed her to fuel dark magic. And for what? Following orders? Loyalty to an Alpha who sees his own daughter as a political tool. I didn't have a choice, Victor gasped. The Alpha commanded. You always have a choice, I cut him off. You could have refused. Could have warned me. Could have done anything except actively participate in murder. But you didn't. So now you live with it. I made him experience Elena's death again. And again. And again. Each replay was slightly different, showing him different moments, different details. The way her children's drawings fell from her pocket as she was dragged forward. The wedding ring she still wore from a mate who died years ago. The small prayer she whispered before the knife struck, asking the moon goddess to watch over her babies. By the fifth replay, Victor was on his knees, sobbing. Please, he begged. Please stop. I understand. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you? I crouched in front of him. Or are you just sorry I'm making you face what you did? Both, he admitted. I should have refused the Alpha's order. Should have protected you instead of betraying you. I was wrong. The dream wavered. I could feel his genuine remorse now, cutting through the terror. He'd broken. Probably would never sleep peacefully again. Good. You have a chance to make this right, I said. One chance. When they ask what you saw in your dreams, tell them the truth. All of it. Testify against my father and Caspian. Help expose the conspiracy. Or I let my form shift, let him see the death touch power swirling around my hands, refuse, and the next time I visit your dreams, I won't just show you death. I'll make you experience your own. Over and over until your mind breaks completely. I'll testify, Victor said immediately. I'll tell them everything. Just please no more. We'll see if you keep that promise, I said. Sweet dreams, head warrior. I pulled out of his mind. Found myself back in his room, watching him thrash in his sleep, whimpering. One down. 6 days and however many more conspirators to go. I left the barracks and moved through the manor like a ghost. No one could see me unless I wanted them to. I passed servants preparing for the morning, warriors changing guard shifts, elders discussing the tragedy of my death with absolutely no sincerity in their voices. In the Alpha study, I found my father meeting with Caspian. Unacceptable, Caspian was saying, his voice tight with fury. You promised me a living healer. A mate I could bond with, whose gift I could harness. What I got was a corpse and a failed ritual. The alliance is void. The alliance stands, my father countered. The ritual failed because Lyra was defective. Weak. Her gift couldn't handle the bonding process. That's not my fault. You didn't mention her gift might reject the dark magic. I didn't know it would, father said, but I could sense the lie. He'd known. Elder Mira had warned him. He just gambled that power would matter more than divine rejection. He'd lost that gamble. And I'd lost my life. What about the other one? Caspian asked. The sister. Willow. Does she have any healer abilities? My blood went cold. Minor ones, father said slowly. Nothing like Lyra's gift. But with training, perhaps, yes. Yes, that could work. Willow could substitute. The alliance could proceed. She's identical twin to the brother, Caspian mused. Marcus. Which means if I bond with Willow, I neutralize any revenge attempt from him. He won't risk his twin's life. They were planning to do it again. To trade Willow the same way they'd traded me. Over my dead body. Well, over my already dead body, but the point stood. I manifested. Fully visible. Right between them. Both men jerked back, hands going to weapons that wouldn't help them against something already dead. Hello, father, I said pleasantly. Alpha Caspian. Lovely evening for conspiracy, isn't it? My father's face cycled through shock, denial, and finally settled on calculating assessment. Always the alpha. Always thinking 3 moves ahead. Lyra, he said carefully. You're alive? Not exactly. I'm Revenant. Blessed by the moon goddess. Returned from death to deliver justice. I smiled, and frost spread across the floor beneath my feet. Surprise. Caspian had gone very pale. Revenant are myths. So are healers who appear once a century, I pointed out. So are true mate bonds blessed by the goddess. So are divine bloodlines that reshape the world. Funny how all those myths turned out to be real, isn't it? I moved closer to my father, and he actually backed up. Alpha Thornwood, who'd never shown fear in his life, retreating from his own daughter. You murdered me, I said quietly. Your own child. Traded my life for political power. Killed an innocent Omega to fuel dark magic. All because you couldn't stand the idea of me choosing my own mate. You were going to waste your gift, he said, and even now, even facing a being returned from death with divine power, he couldn't see what he'd done wrong. The prophecy said powerful bloodline. A beta mate couldn't give you that. The prophecy said pure bond. Freely chosen. You heard what you wanted to hear and ignored the rest. I let my death touch manifest, let shadows swirl around my hands. I could kill you right now. Make you experience every moment of suffering you've caused. Make you feel what Elena felt. What I felt. What Declan felt when our bond was ripped apart. My father's hand moved toward his desk drawer, where he kept a silver knife, I knew from childhood. Silver won't work on Revenant, I told him. I'm not fully in this world. Your weapons pass through me like smoke. But my power. I reached out, let my hand hover an inch from his chest. My power can touch you just fine. Caspian had edged toward the door. I turned my attention to him. Stay, I commanded, and my voice carried enough divine authority that he froze mid-step. We're not done. I stalked toward him. You forced a bond on me. Murdered an innocent woman. Destroyed my true connection to my mate. All because you wanted a healer you could control. How does it feel, Caspian, knowing you killed the very thing you wanted? I didn't mean for you to die, he said. The ritual was supposed to work. Your father said. My father lied, I interrupted. He knew the dark magic might not work. He knew my divine gift would reject it. He gambled with my life and he lost. And now you're planning to do the same thing to my sister. We need the alliance, Caspian said. My pack. Your pack will survive without a healer to exploit, I said. Here's what's going to happen instead. You're going to return to your territory. You're going to dissolve this alliance. And you're going to testify about what really happened in that grove. And if I refuse? I smiled. Let my full Revenant power show, the silver eyes blazing, the lightning scars glowing, death itself radiating from my form. Then I haunt you, I said simply. Every dream. Every shadow. Every quiet moment. I make you feel death approaching, make you experience dying over and over until your mind shatters. I'm patient, Caspian. I have eternity. But you? You have maybe 40 or 50 years if you're lucky. Want to spend them in terror. He swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? Tomorrow, there's a pack assembly to discuss my tragic death. You're going to stand up. You're going to confess everything. The forced bond. The dark magic. Elena's murder. My father's conspiracy. All of it. He'll have me killed for betraying him, Caspian said, gesturing at my father. Then I suggest you bring enough warriors to prevent that, I said. Or don't confess and face divine wrath instead. Your choice. I turned back to my father. He'd regained some composure, was watching me with that calculating expression I knew so well. You can't stay Revenant forever, he said. The old texts say you have limited time. 7 days, usually. Then you either return to life or pass on to true death. And you can't reclaim life while Caspian's false bond is still in place, can you? Damn him for being right. I have enough time, I said. Enough to expose you. Enough to free Declan. Enough to make sure you never hurt another child for political gain. Declan's in the dungeon, father said, and there was cruel satisfaction in his voice. Silver chains. Wolfsbane suppression. He's not going anywhere. And even if you free him, even if you somehow break Caspian's bond, do you really think he'll accept you like this? A creature of death? Something neither living nor dead? True mate bonds are for the living, Lyra. You chose to come back as Revenant. You chose power over love. Live with it. The words hit harder than they should have. Because he wasn't entirely wrong. Declan had bonded with Lyra the healer. Lyra the living, breathing wolf. Not Lyra the Revenant. Lyra the divine instrument of justice. Lyra the thing that shouldn't exist. We'll see, I said. I have 7 days. That's longer than you have. Because, father, I'm not going to kill you. That would be too easy. Too quick. No, I'm going to make you watch as everything you built crumbles. Your reputation. Your authority. Your pack's respect. All of it. Gone. And you'll live knowing you destroyed it all yourself. I dissolved into shadow, letting them see how easily I could come and go, how powerless they were to stop me. I rematerialized in the dungeon. The Thornwood Pack dungeon was ancient, carved into the bedrock beneath the manor, reinforced with silver and ancient wards to hold the most dangerous prisoners. Right now, it held exactly one. Declan. He was in the farthest cell, chained to the wall with silver shackles that had to be burning his skin. His shirt was torn, showing wounds that should have healed already but hadn't, wolfsbane poisoning, preventing his regeneration. He looked up when I appeared, and for a moment, there was hope in his amber eyes. Then he saw me clearly. Saw the white hair, the silver eyes, the lightning scars. Saw what I'd become. The hope flickered. Became confusion. Lyra? His voice was hoarse, broken from screaming during the ceremony. Are you real? Or am I hallucinating from the wolfsbane? I'm real, I said softly. I moved closer to the bars. I'm so sorry, Declan. I tried to stop them. Tried to run. But I know, he interrupted. I felt it. Felt everything through our bond until he couldn't finish. Until it broke, I finished for him. Yeah. Silence. Heavy and painful. What happened? Declan finally asked. After you. After the light. I died, I said simply. The dark magic and my healer gift destroyed each other. Ripped me apart at the molecular level. I died in front of 300 witnesses. Then how are you here? I explained. The moon goddess. The choice. The revenant power. The 7 days to make things right. Declan listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. 7 days, he said. To fix everything. Break Caspian's false bond. Expose the conspiracy. And then what? Then I reclaim our mate bond, I said. Return to life fully. Be with you the way we were meant to be. Can you do that? He asked quietly. Can you really break a bond sealed with dark magic and blood sacrifice? I have to, I said. I didn't come back from death just to be trapped as Revenant forever. I came back for you. For us. He looked at me, really looked, taking in every detail of my changed form. The otherness. The divine marks. The way I didn't quite seem to exist fully in this world. I love you, he said finally. I loved Lyra Thornwood, the healer who was kind and strong and fought for what was right. But you're not her anymore, are you? You're something else. Something. Other, I finished. I know. But I'm still me, Declan. Still your mate. The soul bond is still there, can't you feel it? He closed his eyes, reaching inward. I feel something. Recognition. Pull. But it's not the same as before. The bond we had was warm. This is cold. Distant. Like touching something through a veil. My heart broke, or would have, if I still had a beating heart. Give me the 7 days, I pleaded. Let me fix this. Let me break the false bond and reclaim life and come back to you properly. And if you can't, he asked. If the 7 days run out and you're still Revenant? What then? Then we figure it out, I said desperately. We find another way. We. Lyra, he interrupted gently. I can't bond with a Revenant. My wolf won't accept it. It would be like trying to bond with a ghost. You're not alive. And mate bonds are for the living. The words were a knife to whatever passed for my heart in this state. So that's it? I asked. I come back from death to save us and you're giving up? I'm being realistic, Declan said. I want you back. Gods, I want nothing more than to have you back. But I want you alive. Not like this. Not as something caught between worlds. Then help me become alive again, I said. Break these chains. Help me escape. Help me break Caspian's bond. The chains are silver and spelled, he said. Your power might be able to break them, but then what? We run? We can't outrun 2 packs working together. We can't. I'm not running, I said firmly. I'm fighting. Tomorrow there's a pack assembly. Caspian is going to confess everything. Victor too. I'm going to expose the whole conspiracy in front of everyone. Your father will have you killed, Declan said. Or try to. Even as Revenant, you're not invincible. Iron can hurt you. Holy ground can repel you. And if enough wolves attack at once, then I'll deal with it, I said. I didn't come back from death to hide in shadows. I came back to make this right. I reached through the bars, my hand hovering over his. He looked at it, at the silver scars, at the way my skin was translucent and strange. Slowly, hesitantly, he reached out and took my hand. The moment we touched, I felt it. The echo of our bond. Faint, damaged, but there. Still there. Declan gasped. I can feel you. Really feel you. You're still in there. I'm still me, I said. Just changed, but changeable back. If we can break the false bond, if we can restore our connection, I can return to life. I know I can. 7 days, he said. 7 days, I agreed. Don't waste them on revenge, he said firmly. Use them for justice. For fixing the system that let this happen. For protecting others. Be better than they were, Lyra. Promise me. I promise, I said. And I meant it. I broke the silver chains with a thought. My Revenant power just dissolved them like they were nothing. Declan stumbled as his arms came free, and I caught him. For a moment, we stood there. Me holding him up. Him leaning into me despite my otherness. I'm getting you out of here, I said. Getting you back to Iron Peak. Then I'm going to that assembly, and I'm going to burn my father's lies to the ground. Just don't lose yourself in the process, Declan said. The woman I love was a healer. Someone who valued life. Don't let revenge turn you into the monster they claimed you'd be. I won't, I promised. 7 days of justice, not vengeance. Then we'll see if you still want to bond with me. I'll always want to bond with you, he said softly. I just hope you make it back in time. So did I. Because the clock was already ticking. 7 days. 168 hours. And I had a conspiracy to expose, a false bond to break, and a mate to reclaim. Let's see what a Revenant could do with 7 days and divine power. Time to show them all what happened when you murdered a healer and she refused to stay dead. Chapter 5. The 7 days begin. I shadow-walked Declan out of the dungeon, through the manor's walls, straight through solid stone like it wasn't there. Revenant power had its perks. We emerged in the forest half a mile from the border. Declan stumbled, still weak from the wolfsbane, and I caught him again. How did we just walked through walls, he said, staring back at the manor. I'm not entirely physical, I explained. Mostly energy. Reality is more flexible for me now. That's deeply unsettling. Welcome to my world. I supported him as we moved deeper into neutral territory. Iron Peak border was another 2 miles, but with Declan injured, it would take time. Can you shift? I asked. Would that help you heal faster? Not with this much wolfsbane in my system, he said. Need at least 6 hours for it to clear enough. Maybe 12. Then we move slow. I scanned the forest with my enhanced senses. We're being followed. 3 wolves. Thornwood scouts. They're keeping their distance, but tracking us. Can they see you? If I want them to. I made myself visible to the world, let my full Revenant form manifest. Stay behind me. The scouts appeared from the tree line, young warriors, maybe early 20s. They froze when they saw me. Luna Lyra? One of them stammered. But you're dead? I finished. Yes. And returned. Tell my father that Declan Stormborn has been released by divine authority. Any attempt to recapture him will be met with consequences he won't enjoy. The wolves looked at each other, clearly out of their depth. Fighting a Revenant wasn't in their training. Just go, I said more gently. You don't want to fight me. Trust me. They ran. Smart wolves. Declan and I continued toward the border. The night was quiet except for normal forest sounds, owls hunting, small creatures rustling through underbrush, a stream babbling somewhere to our left. Lyra, Declan said after we'd walked in silence for a while. What's it like? Being Revenant? Strange, I said honestly. I don't need to breathe, but I do anyway out of habit. Don't need to eat or sleep. Don't feel temperature the same way, everything is sort of muted. Like experiencing the world through a filter. Do you feel pain? Yes. If something damages my form. Iron hurts. Holy symbols repel me. Silver passes right through like I'm not there, which is weird but useful. I paused. And I can feel emotions. That didn't change. Fear, anger, love, those are all still there. Maybe even stronger because they're all I have left that feels real. We reached a clearing where moonlight pooled silver on the grass. Declan stopped, breathing hard. The wolfsbane was taking its toll. Rest, I said. We have time. He sank onto a fallen log, and I sat beside him. Close, but not touching. The distance felt wrong, but I didn't know how to bridge it. Tell me about the 7 days, Declan said. What exactly do you need to do? Break Caspian's false bond. That's priority 1. As long as it exists, even in residual form, I can't fully reclaim life. How do you break a bond sealed with blood magic? No idea, I admitted. But the moon goddess wouldn't have sent me back if it was impossible. There has to be a way. What else? Expose the conspiracy. Make sure everyone knows what Father and Caspian did. Not just for revenge. For protection. So they can't do this to someone else. And the death touch? Declan asked quietly. The power to kill? How does that factor in? Each kill costs me a day, I said. Use it 7 times and I'm out of time. Trapped as Revenant forever. So you have to choose carefully. Very carefully. I looked at him. The moon goddess said it was designed to prevent me from becoming a monster. To make me think about justice versus vengeance. Smart goddess. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Declan said, I need to tell you something. About what happened after you died. The pain in his voice made me brace for impact. When our bond broke, he continued, when I felt you disappear, I went feral. Completely feral. Lost all higher function, all control. Just pure wolf, pure rage. I tried to break through the barrier. Would have torn apart every wolf there if I could have reached them. Declan. My alpha had to subdue me, he said. Magnus and 5 warriors. Even weakened from throwing myself at the magical barrier, it took all of them to bring me down. And the whole time I was screaming your name, begging you to come back, promising anything, everything, if you'd just not be dead. Tears tracked down his face. So when you showed up in that cell, when I saw you standing there, for a second I thought it worked. Thought my prayers were answered. But then I realized you weren't really back. Not the way I'd hoped. You were something else. Something I didn't know how to love anymore. The words hurt worse than any weapon could have. You don't love me anymore? I asked, my voice very small. I love who you were, Declan said. I'm trying to love who you are. But Lyra, you're death incarnate. When I look at you, I see divine power and otherworldly beauty and something that makes my wolf want to submit or flee. That's not the same as seeing my mate. Give me the 7 days, I said desperately. Let me return to life fully. Then I'll be what you remember again. Will you? He asked. Or will this change you permanently? People who come back from death are never quite the same. How do I know if I get you back, if you make it back, that you'll still be the woman I fell in love with? You don't, I said honestly. But isn't the chance worth taking? Isn't love supposed to be worth the risk? He looked at me then, really looked. And I saw something in his eyes that broke my heart. Doubt. I want to believe that, he said. I want to fight for us. But I'm terrified that I'm going to fall in love with Lyra the Revenant just in time to lose you again. Either because you run out of days, or because returning to life means losing the person you've become. Then what do we do? I asked. We take it one day at a time, Declan said. You do what you need to do. Break the bond. Expose the conspiracy. And I'll be here, supporting you, hoping, but not making promises about forever until we know if forever is even possible. It wasn't what I wanted. Wanted him to say he loved me unconditionally, that nothing would change between us, that we'd find our way back to each other no matter what. But it was honest. And given everything else had been built on lies, maybe honesty was the best I could hope for. Okay, I said. One day at a time. Starting with getting you safely back to Iron Peak. We continued walking. Reached the border just before dawn. I could feel the sun approaching like a weight on my shoulders, making my revenant form want to retreat into shadow. Will you be okay in sunlight? Declan asked, noticing my discomfort. I can function, I said. It's just weaker. Darkness is when I'm strongest. Fitting, he said. Then, seeing my expression, that wasn't an insult. Just an observation. You're a creature of night now. Moon-blessed. Shadow-born. It makes sense. An Iron Peak patrol appeared, Magnus himself, along with 4 warriors. They saw Declan and rushed forward. Beta. Marcus, one of the younger warriors, caught Declan as he swayed. We've been searching all night. When you didn't return from the grove. I was captured, Declan said. Imprisoned. But I'm free now. Magnus' eyes found me. The Alpha of Iron Peak was in his 50s, with silver threading through his dark hair and scars from decades of battles. His gaze was sharp, assessing. Lyra Thornwood, he said. We heard you died. I did, I confirmed. Got better. She's Revenant, Declan said. Blessed by the moon goddess. Returned to deliver justice. Magnus' expression didn't change. Convenient. Is it? I asked. Because from where I'm standing, being dead and powered by divine wrath isn't exactly convenient. It's complicated and terrifying, and I have exactly 7 days to fix everything before I'm trapped like this forever. 7 days, Magnus repeated. He looked at Declan. And in those 7 days? She's going to expose the conspiracy, Declan said. Break the false bond. Make sure no one else suffers what we did. We'll help, Magnus said immediately. I blinked. Just like that. Just like that, he confirmed. What was done to you is an abomination. Dark magic hasn't been used in bonding ceremonies for 300 years, and for good reason. If Thornwood Pack and Nightshade Pack are reverting to such practices, they need to be stopped. Publicly. Decisively. Relief flooded through me. Thank you, Alpha Magnus. Don't thank me yet, he said. Thank me when you're alive again and properly bonded to my beta. Until then, you have Iron Peak support, warriors, resources, sanctuary, whatever you need. I need witnesses, I said. At tomorrow's assembly. Thornwood Pack needs to see that other alphas stand against what my father did. That it's not just me crying injustice, it's the wolf world itself rejecting the old, brutal ways. You'll have them, Magnus promised. I'll bring 20 of my best. We'll stand with you. The sun crested the horizon. I felt my revenant power dim slightly, felt myself becoming more translucent in the growing light. Go, I told Declan. Get healed. Rest. I have visits to make before the assembly. What kind of visits? He asked warily. The kind where I convince the rest of the conspirators that confession is in their best interest, I said. Don't worry. I'm not killing anyone. Just strongly encouraging honesty. Lyra, one day at a time, remember? I said gently. Trust me to do this right. He nodded reluctantly. Day 1 of 7. Make it count. I will. I dissolved into shadow and let the darkness carry me away. Back to Thornwood territory. Back to the manor where my father was probably planning his next move. I had 6 days and 23 hours left. Time to make every second count. Chapter 6. Exposing the conspiracy. Day 2. The assembly hall was packed. Every adult wolf in Thornwood pack, nearly 400, crowded into the space. Visiting alphas from 3 neighboring territories occupied the honored seats. Alpha Magnus and his contingent stood near the rear, watchful and ready. And I stood invisible in the rafters, watching my father take the stage. Alpha Thorne looked every inch the grieving parent. His ceremonial robes were black, his expression carefully arranged into sorrowful dignity. He'd probably practiced that face in the mirror all morning. We gather in tragedy, he began, his voice carrying across the silent hall. 3 days ago, my daughter Lyra died during a bonding ceremony. A malfunction of ancient ritual magic, an incompatibility we couldn't have foreseen. Her loss devastates not just our family, but our entire pack. Lies. Every word. However, Father continued, we must look forward. The alliance with Nightshade Pack remains vital to our security. Alpha Caspian and I have discussed alternatives. Stop. Caspian's voice cut through the hall like a blade. He stood from his seat, his dark eyes fixed on my father with an expression I couldn't quite read. Father paused, confusion flickering across his face. Alpha Caspian, if you have concerns, we can discuss them privately. No, Caspian said. We discuss them here. Now. In front of everyone. The hall went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Caspian moved to the front, his movements controlled but tense. He looked like a man walking to his own execution, which, in a way, he was. I need to make a confession, he said. About what really happened in the Forbidden Grove. Father's face went very still. Caspian, I don't think. Lyra Thornwood didn't die from ritual malfunction, Caspian interrupted. She died because we used dark magic. Blood sacrifice. Forced bonding against her will and against the moon goddess's blessing. Gasps erupted through the crowd. Wolves turned to each other, shocked murmurs building. That's insane, Father said, his alpha command rolling through the words. You're in shock from the tragedy. Not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly, Caspian said. For the first time in months, actually. Victor, stand up. In the warrior section, Victor rose slowly. He looked like he hadn't slept. Which he hadn't, not peacefully, not after I'd spent hours in his dreams making him relive Elena's death. Tell them, Caspian ordered. Tell them what Alpha Thorne ordered you to do. Victor's face was pale. He looked at my father, then at the crowd, then at his own hands like he could still see blood on them. I drugged Luna Lyra, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. On Alpha Thorne's orders. Took her to the Forbidden Grove against her will. We used her siblings as hostages to prevent her mate from interfering. The murmurs turned to shouts. Wolves were on their feet now, demanding explanations. And the Omega, Caspian said. Elena Riverstone. Tell them about her. Victor flinched. I killed her. Stabbed her as part of the ritual. Her blood was the sacrifice needed to fuel the dark magic that would force the bond. Lies. Father roared, his alpha authority crashing down on the room. Every wolf except the visiting alphas dropped their heads instinctively. Caspian has been compromised. Victor is in shock. These accusations are true. I manifested. Dropped from the rafters to land in the center of the hall, directly between my father and Caspian. 300 wolves screamed. Can't say I blame them. I'd aimed for dramatic entrance and apparently dead daughters returning as divine instruments of justice qualified. Hello, Father, I said. My voice carried that otherworldly echo, and frost spread across the floor beneath my feet. Miss me? Father staggered back. For the first time since I'd known him, genuine fear crossed his face. Lyra, he breathed. You're, how? Dead? Yes. But the moon goddess had other plans. I turned slowly, letting every wolf in the hall see me. See the white hair, the silver eyes, the lightning scars that marked me as something other than mortal. I am Revenant. Returned to deliver justice for crimes that the living wouldn't punish. Elder Mira stood from her seat, her blind eyes tracking my movement perfectly. The old texts speak of revenants. Divine warriors sent when mortal law fails. They appear once in 1,000 years, when the moon goddess herself demands reckoning. I didn't demand anything, I said. I chose this. Chose to come back. Chose 7 days to make things right before I either reclaim life or pass to true death. I gestured to Caspian and Victor. These two are confessing. Voluntarily. Because I visited them in their dreams and showed them what they did. Made them experience the suffering they caused. I turned to the crowd. But they're not the only guilty ones. Every wolf who stood in that grove and watched it happen, you're complicit. Every elder who advised my father that forced bonding was acceptable for political gain, you're complicit. Every warrior who knew Elena was going to die and said nothing. You're complicit. Silence. Heavy and damning. Show them, Elder Mira said. If you have the power, show them all what really happened. I looked at her. It will hurt them. Make them experience my death. Good, the ancient seer said firmly. Let them hurt. Let them understand what their silence enabled. I reached out with my revenant power, touched every mind in the hall simultaneously. And I showed them. Every moment of the conspiracy. My father planning with Caspian. Victor drugging me. Elena's murder. Declan's anguish as our bond was destroyed. My body tearing itself apart as divine and dark magic collided. I made them feel it all. When I released them, half the hall was on their knees, weeping or vomiting from the trauma of experiencing death. That, I said into the silence, is what you allowed to happen. What you enabled through your silence, your obedience, your willingness to follow orders without question. I turned to my father. He'd collapsed into his chair, his face gray. You murdered your own daughter for political power, I said. Killed an innocent Omega. Destroyed a true mate bond blessed by the moon goddess herself. And for what? An alliance that's now dissolved because even Caspian Nightshade has more conscience than you do. I did what was necessary, father said, but his voice was weak. The pack needed a leader who valued his wolves over his ambitions, I interrupted. Instead, they got you. Alpha Magnus stepped forward. By ancient law, an alpha who murders their own child forfeits their position. I call for immediate removal of Thornwood from leadership. Seconded, said another visiting alpha. And another. My father looked around the hall, searching for support. Found none. Even his most loyal followers couldn't meet his eyes. The vote is called, Elder Mira announced. All in favor of removing Alpha Thorne from his position. Signal now. Every hand went up. Every single one. Father stood slowly, his expression cycling through shock, rage, denial, and finally settling on cold calculation. You think you've won, he said to me. But you're still dead, Lyra. Still trapped as Revenant. And breaking Caspian's bond? Even with divine power, that won't be easy. Dark magic has hooks you can't see. You have 6 days left. Let's see if you can actually reclaim life before time runs out. We'll see, I said. I hereby exile Alpha Thornwood, Elder Mira declared. You have until sunset to leave pack territory. Return and face execution. 2 warriors, ones who'd lost family to father's machinations over the years, moved to escort him out. He shrugged them off. I'll leave, he said. But Lyra? You want to know the real reason I forced that bond? The prophecy didn't just say powerful bloodline. It said your children would either save the wolf world or destroy it. I couldn't risk them being raised by a beta mate who didn't understand power. Better to control you, control your offspring, ensure they became weapons instead of threats. He smiled, and it was ugly. So congratulations. You've exposed me. Exiled me. Made me the villain. But at least I'll die knowing I tried to protect the pack from what you might have become. He walked out, head high, unrepentant to the end. The hall erupted in chaos after he left. Wolves arguing, crying, trying to process what they'd witnessed. I found Willow and Marcus in the crowd. They pushed through to reach me. "We need to talk about succession," Marcus said, ever practical. "Father's exiled. The pack needs an alpha. You'd be good at it," I told him. "I'm 19, he pointed out. Barely an adult. The pack won't accept." "I nominate Marcus Thornwood as interim alpha," Alpha Magnus announced, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Supported by a council of elders until he comes of age. He's young, but he has integrity his father lacked." The vote passed quickly. My brother looked shell-shocked as Elder Mira performed the abbreviated alpha ceremony, transferring pack authority to him. "Congratulations," I told him. "You're the boss now." "I have no idea what I'm doing," Marcus admitted. "None of us do," Willow said. "But at least we'll figure it out together." I turned to Caspian, who'd remained standing near the front, watching everything unfold. "Thank you," I said, "for confessing. I know it wasn't easy. It was necessary," he said. "I've done a lot of terrible things in the name of power. But watching you die, watching what my ambition actually cost, that broke something in me. Changed me." He paused. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Truly sorry. I know that doesn't undo what I did, but it's a start," I said. "Go home, Caspian. Build something better than what you had planned with my father." He nodded and left, his warriors following. I moved to the center of the hall again, addressing the pack. "I have 5 days left as Revenant," I announced. 5 days to break the false bond and reclaim life. I'm going to spend them making sure what happened to me never happens to anyone else. I'm establishing new laws. Protections. Real consequences for alphas who abuse their power. The Healer's Code, Elder Mira said. Laws protecting those with rare gifts from exploitation. It's been discussed before but never implemented. Now's the time. Yes, I agreed. But not just for healers. For Omegas. For anyone vulnerable to alpha authority. New rules. New culture. A better pack. The assembly lasted another 2 hours as we hammered out details. By the end, Thornwood Pack had ratified the most progressive wolf laws in the region. It was a start. Chapter 7. Declan's Rescue. Day 3. I materialized in Ire Peak territory at sunset when my power was strongest. Declan was in the training yard, working through combat forms despite still being weakened from wolfsbane. His movements were slower than usual, less fluid, but determined. He sensed me before he saw me. Turned, and something flickered across his face. Not quite fear, not quite welcome. Complicated. Lyra, he said. I heard about the assembly. Your father's exile. The new laws. Well done. Thanks. I moved closer. How are you feeling? Better. The wolfsbane's almost cleared. He sheathed his practice blade. What brings you here? I need your help, I said. Breaking Caspian's false bond. I've been researching, well, having Willow research while I do the divine vengeance thing, and apparently dark bonds have physical anchors. Objects used in the ritual that maintain the connection. What kind of objects? In our case, probably the knife Victor used to kill Elena. It would have been consecrated for the ritual, used to spill the sacrifice's blood. That makes it a powerful anchor. Declan nodded slowly. So if you destroy the knife, the bond breaks? Theoretically. But the knife is probably in Nightshade Pack territory now. In Caspian's possession. Which means I need to get it back. Let me guess, Declan said. You want me to come with you? You're the tactician, I pointed out. I'm just the scary ghost with divine powers. Together we make a decent team. Lyra. I know, I interrupted. You don't know if you can still love me like this. You're not making promises about forever. But can you at least help me get back to life so we have the chance to figure it out? He studied me for a long moment. When do we leave? Now. Well, midnight. When I'm strongest and Nightshade guards are most likely to be asleep or drunk. You've done this before? No, but I'm a quick learner. He smiled, small, but genuine. Okay, let's go steal a cursed knife from one of the most dangerous alphas in the region. What could go wrong? At midnight, we stood at the edge of Nightshade territory. I can shadow walk us in, I said. But once we're inside, you'll be visible and vulnerable. If we're discovered, then we fight our way out, Declan finished. I'm aware of the risks. I took his hand, warm flesh against my cold translucence, and pulled us both into shadow. The transition was jarring for him. I felt him tense as reality became fluid, as we moved through walls and locked doors like they were mist. We emerged in Caspian's private chambers. The Alpha was asleep, sprawled across a massive bed, alone. No guards inside. He was powerful enough not to need them in his own territory. The knife, I whispered, scanning the room with enhanced senses. Declan pointed to a lockbox on the desk. There. I can smell blood on it. Old blood. I moved to the box. Tried to open it. Locked, of course. Let me, Declan said. He produced two thin metal picks from his pocket. Beta training includes unconventional skills. It took him 30 seconds to crack the lock. Inside the box, wrapped in black silk, was Victor's knife. The blade was dark with dried blood, Elena's blood, and it radiated wrongness. Dark magic clinging to steel. The moment I touched it, pain shot through my form. The false bond activated, trying to maintain itself, and I felt Caspian's presence trying to reassert itself in my consciousness. No, I said firmly. I channeled my Revenant power into the blade. Silver light met dark magic. The knife screamed, actually screamed, a sound like tortured metal and dying souls. Caspian woke. Saw us. His eyes went wide. You, he said, scrambling up. You're breaking the bond. Yes, I said through gritted teeth. The battle of magics was excruciating. You should have destroyed this yourself. I couldn't, Caspian admitted. The bond, it was addictive. Even knowing you were dead, even wanting to do the right thing, I couldn't give up the power it gave me. The connection to a healer's gift. Well, I'm giving it up for you, I said. The knife shattered. The false bond exploded outward in a wave of dark energy that knocked both Declan and Caspian back. I absorbed the impact, let my Revenant form take the damage. When the magic cleared, the knife was dust. The bond was gone. And I felt lighter. Freer. Like chains I hadn't fully realized where there had finally broken. It's done, I said. Caspian stood slowly. Thank you. I know that sounds insane given everything, but thank you. I'm free of it too. The corruption. I can think clearly again. Don't thank me, I said. Just be better than you were. Declan and I left the same way we came, through shadows, impossible and unstoppable. We emerged back in Ire Peak territory. I released Declan's hand and immediately felt the distance between us again. Bonds broken, I said. 3 days left to reclaim life fully. Think we can rebuild our connection in that time. Declan looked at me, really looked, taking in every otherworldly detail. I don't know, he admitted. But I'm willing to try. It wasn't a declaration of eternal love. But it was honest. And for now, that had to be enough. Chapter 8. The Trap and Sacrifice. Day 4. Things went wrong. I should have known it was too easy. Should have realized that my father wouldn't just accept exile and disappear. I was visiting Elena's children, the 3 orphans left behind when my father's conspiracy murdered their mother. Bringing them food, money from my family's accounts, promises that Thornwood Pack would care for them. The youngest was only 4. She looked at me with eyes too old for her age and asked, "Are you an angel?" Like Mama became. Something like that, I said softly. That's when the iron cage dropped. It fell from the trees above, a massive structure of pure iron bars, blessed with holy symbols that burned my Revenant form like acid. I screamed. Tried to shadow walk out. But the holy blessings disrupted my power, trapped me inside. Well done. My father's voice. He stepped from the forest with a dozen rogue wolves, outcasts he'd obviously recruited during his brief exile. Iron and holy symbols. The 2 things that can actually hurt a Revenant. Father, I gasped through the pain. The bars were burning me where I touched them, smoke rising from my translucent skin. What are you doing? Protecting the pack, he said calmly. You've disrupted everything. Exiled me. Turned my own son against me. Implemented radical laws that will weaken us. You're a threat, Lyra. Always have been. I see that now. So you're going to kill me? Again? I'm going to trap you, he corrected. Keep you in this cage until your 7 days run out. Then you'll be trapped as Revenant forever, unable to reclaim life, unable to die, just existing in torment for eternity. Fitting punishment for a daughter who betrayed her father. Horror crashed through me. That's insane. That's justice. He nodded to his rogues. Take the cage to the old mine shaft. 20 feet down, behind a cave-in. No one will find her in time. No. I threw myself against the bars, ignoring the pain. But I was weakening. The holy symbols were draining my power. Elena's children were crying. The 4-year-old reached toward me. Angel. Don't let them take the angel. Close your eyes, sweetie, I told her. It's going to be okay. It was a lie, but what else could I say? They dragged the cage through the forest. Every bump sent waves of agony through me. I tried to call for help through whatever remained of my connection to Declan, but the holy symbols disrupted that too. I was alone. They reached the mine, an abandoned silver mine that had collapsed decades ago. Hauled the cage to the edge of the shaft. Any last words? Father asked. Yeah, I said. You're going to regret this. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, karma catches up. And when it does, remember, you did this to yourself. They pushed the cage over the edge. I fell 20 feet, hit the bottom hard. The impact shattered part of my form. I felt pieces of my essence scattering, barely managing to hold myself together. Above, I heard rocks tumbling. They were triggering another cave-in, sealing the entrance. Goodbye, Lyra, Father's voice echoed down. Enjoy eternity. Then silence. Darkness. Just me and a cage I couldn't escape. I had 3 days left to reclaim life. And I was trapped 20 feet underground in a collapsed mine, in a cage that was slowly draining my power and killing my ability to maintain coherent form. This was bad. Really bad. 6 hours passed. Maybe. Time was hard to track in absolute darkness, while your consciousness slowly fragmented. I tried everything. Shadow walking, blocked by holy symbols. Brute forcing the bars, iron burned too much. Calling for help, too deep underground. My revenant form was flickering. Parts of me kept dissolving into mist, and I had to concentrate to pull them back together. If I lost cohesion completely, I'd just be scattered essence. No consciousness. No way to ever return to life. I was going to die down here. Again. For real this time. Unless. I reached deep inside, to the part of me that was still connected to the moon goddess. The divine spark that made me revenant. Help, I prayed. Please. I know I chose to come back, chose to fight, but I can't do this alone. I need help. Silence. Then, you have help. You've always had help. You just have to accept it. The voice wasn't the moon goddess. It was Declan's. And it was real. I looked up. Saw light at the top of the shaft. Heard rocks being moved. Lyra. Declan's voice desperate. If you can hear me, make a sound. Here. I screamed with what little voice I had left. I'm here. More rocks. Faster now. And other voices, Marcus, Willow, Magnus, even some Thornwood warriors. How did you find me? I called up. Elena's kids, Willow shouted back. They told Marcus what happened. We've been searching for 6 hours. Hold on. 20 minutes later, the entrance was clear. Declan rappelled down on a rope, landing beside the cage. He took one look at my fragmented form and his face went pale. Gods, Lyra. What did he do to you? Iron and holy symbols I managed. Can't escape. Can't. Can you hold on if I get you out? He asked. If I carry the cage up? Don't touch the bars, I warned. They'll burn you. I'm aware. He signaled up. Send down the chains. They lowered chains and pulleys. Declan attached them to the cage, carefully avoiding direct contact with the iron. Pull, he shouted. The cage lurched upward. Every movement sent pain through my dissolving form, but I held on. Held myself together through sheer willpower. We broke the surface. Moonlight hit me and I felt my power surge, not much, but enough to stabilize. Marcus and Willow attacked the cage with bolt cutters, breaking the lock. Declan pulled me out, and the moment I was free of the iron and holy symbols, I collapsed into his arms. "I've got you," he said. "I've got you. I wanted to stay there forever. But, Father," I said, "he's going to run." "We need to." "Already handled," Magnus said. He gestured to where his warriors had someone pinned. "My father, captured during his escape attempt." "He was heading for the border," Magnus said. "We intercepted him." I pulled myself together, literally drawing my scattered essence back into coherent form. Stood on shaky legs. My father looked at me with something like fear. "How did they find you?" I covered the mine. "Hid your trail. Children see revenants more clearly than adults," I said. "You forgot that. They saw what you did and they told. Because even 4-year-olds know kidnapping is wrong." I approached him. Let him see how close he'd come to winning. How fragmented I still was, barely holding form. "You almost killed me," I said. "Third time's the charm, right? First the forced bond. Then your conspiracy. Now this. What's next, Father? What else are you willing to do to maintain control?" He said nothing. Just stared with dead eyes. "I should use my death touch on you," I said. "Make you experience dying slowly, painfully, trapped and alone. It would cost me a day, but you deserve it." I reached out. Let my power swirl around my hand. Watched him flinch. Then I pulled back. "But I'm not going to," I said. "Because I'm better than you. Because mercy is harder than vengeance. Because you're already dying inside and nothing I do to you will be worse than having to live with what you've become." I turned to Magnus. "He's violated exile terms by attacking a pack member. What's the traditional punishment?" "Execution or permanent imprisonment," Magnus said. "Imprison him," I said. "Somewhere he can't hurt anyone else. Somewhere he has decades to think about his choices." "Lyra, no," Father said, and now there was panic in his voice. "Just kill me. Don't trap me alive." "I can't. I won't survive imprisonment." "Then you'll understand," I said coldly, exactly how I felt at the bottom of that mine shaft. "Goodbye, Father. I hope you find some shred of redemption before you die." But I'm not holding my breath. They took him away. I swayed, nearly fell, and Declan caught me. "You need to rest," he said. "You're falling apart." "Can't," I said. 2 days left. Need to rebuild our bond. Need to. Lyra. He cupped my face gently. "Rest. I'll be here when you wake up." "I promise." I wanted to argue. But I was so tired. So fragmented. Holding myself together was taking everything I had. "Okay," I whispered. "But don't leave. Please don't leave." "I'm not going anywhere," Declan promised. I let myself dissolve into mist, into formless rest, trusting him to watch over me while I healed. Day 4 ended with me barely alive. But still here. Still fighting. 2 days left. Chapter 9. The Final Confrontation. Day 5. I woke feeling stronger. The rest had helped. My revenant form was stable again, coherent, powerful. Declan was sitting beside where I'd been resting, on a bed of blankets since I didn't actually need furniture, his hand near mine. Not touching, but close. "Hey," I said. My voice still had that otherworldly echo, but it was clearer now. "Hey," he replied. "How do you feel?" "Better." "Solid. Like me again." I sat up. How long was I out? 14 hours. It's evening now. 2 days left, I said. 48 hours to rebuild our bond and reclaim life. Declan looked at me seriously. "Lyra, I need to tell you something. While you were resting, I did research. Talked to Elder Mira, consulted the ancient texts. About true mate bonds and revenants." My stomach dropped. "That sounds like bad news." "It's complicated news," he said. "A revenant can theoretically reclaim life, but only if their mate accepts them completely. Knowing what they've become, understanding what they've done, choosing to bond with death itself. And you don't know if you can do that," I finished quietly. "I don't know if it's fair to ask me to," Declan said. "Lyra, you're incredible. What you've accomplished in 5 days, exposing the conspiracy, implementing new laws, protecting the vulnerable, choosing mercy over vengeance even when you had every right to destroy everyone who hurt you. You're everything I fell in love with and more." "But," I prompted, hearing it in his voice. But you're also terrifying, he admitted. You have the power to kill with a touch. To walk through walls. To appear in dreams and show people their worst nightmares. You're divine and deadly, and when I look at you, part of me wants to submit like you're an alpha and part of me wants to run because you're death incarnate. How do I bond with that? How do I wake up every day next to someone who exists between worlds? You don't, I said. Because if I reclaim life fully, I stop being Revenant. I become mortal again. Just a wolf. Just a healer. Just me. But will you be? Declan asked. Or will you always carry this inside you? This knowledge of what you were, what you could do. People who come back from death are changed, Lyra. Forever. I thought about that. About the truth of it. You're right, I said. I'll be changed. I'll remember these 6 days for the rest of my life. I'll know what it's like to be powerful beyond measure. To be feared. To be other. And maybe that will change how I see the world, how I interact with it. I reached for his hand. This time, he didn't pull away. But the core of who I am, the woman who values healing over harming, who chooses mercy over vengeance, who loves you more than she loves power, that's still here. That's still me. And if you can accept that I'm a little bit darker, a little bit stranger, a little bit more aware of death than I was before, then maybe we can make this work. Declan looked at our joined hands. I'm scared, he admitted. Scared of losing you again. Scared of bonding with you and having you taken away. Scared that I'm not strong enough to love someone who's seen what you've seen. I'm scared too, I said. Scared you won't accept me. Scared I'll run out of time. Scared I'll be trapped as Revenant forever because I couldn't convince you to take a chance on us. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Declan said, Tell me about the moon goddess. What was she like? I described the between place. The choice she offered. The blessing she gave. The warning about becoming a monster. She said something that stuck with me, I said. She said, be better than they were. Not stronger. Not more powerful. Just better. More compassionate. More merciful. More human even though I wasn't human anymore. And have you been? Declan asked. I think so, I said. I could have killed my father a dozen times. Victor. Caspian. Everyone who hurt me. But I didn't. Because being better means choosing life over death, even when death would be easier. Declan nodded slowly. Okay, I'm willing to try, he said. To rebuild our bond. To accept who you've become. To take the risk. He squeezed my hand. Because you're right. The core of you is still the woman I fell in love with. And if that woman can survive death and come back choosing mercy, then she's worth taking a chance on. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Gods, thank you. Don't thank me yet, Declan said. We still have to actually rebuild the bond. And according to Elder Mira, that requires a ritual. A formal ceremony where we both acknowledge what we're accepting. When? Tomorrow. Day 6. At the sacred grove, the one where you died. We reclaim that space, turn it from a place of death to a place of rebirth. Poetic, I said. Myra's idea, Declan admitted. But I like it. Face your death where it happened and choose life instead. I nodded. Tomorrow then. One more day to prepare. What will you do with the last day? Declan asked. Visit everyone affected by the conspiracy, I said. Make sure they're okay. Make sure the new laws are being implemented. Make sure this actually meant something. Very Luna of you, Declan said with a small smile. I'm not Luna anymore. Marcus is Alpha now. You'll always be Luna in the ways that matter, Declan said. Leader. Protector. Healer. That's who you are. Maybe he was right. Maybe dying and coming back hadn't changed the core of me at all. Maybe it had just revealed it. Chapter 10. The True Bond. Day 6. Sunset. The Sacred Grove. Someone had cleaned it since the last ceremony. The blood was gone. The dark magic residue had been cleansed. Fresh flowers surrounded the altar, and the whole space felt lighter, brighter, blessed instead of cursed. 200 wolves gathered, Thornwood Pack, Ire Peak Pack, and representatives from a dozen other territories. Everyone wanted to witness this. The Revenant reclaiming life. The impossible made real. I stood at the edge of the grove in my full Revenant form, white hair flowing, silver eyes blazing, lightning scars glowing. I'd made no attempt to appear more human. This was what I was now. What I'd been for 6 days. If Declan was going to bond with me, he needed to accept all of it. He waited at the altar in ceremonial robes. When he saw me, his breath caught not in fear this time. In awe. I moved toward him, my feet barely touching the ground. The crowd parted instinctively. "Hi," I said when I reached him. "Hi," he replied. "Ready to be alive again?" "So ready." Elder Mira performed the ceremony. Not the dark ritual that had killed me, but the traditional bonding. Blessed by the moon goddess, witnessed by Pack, built on choice and love instead of force and sacrifice. We gather under the full moon, Mira intoned, to witness the rebirth of a bond destroyed by darkness. To reclaim sacred ground. To choose love over fear, life over death, hope over despair. She turned to Declan. "Declan Stormborn, do you accept Lyra Thornwood as your true mate? Knowing what she was, what she is, what she might become. Accepting her past as healer, her present as revenant, her future as something neither of you can fully predict." "I do," Declan said clearly. "I accept all of her." Mira turned to me. "Lyra Thornwood, do you accept Declan Stormborn as your true mate? Knowing that returning to life means surrendering your revenant power, becoming vulnerable again, risking everything you've gained for the chance at love." I didn't hesitate. "I do. I accept all of him." "Then let the bond be forged," Mira said. "Not through dark magic, but through divine blessing. Not through force, but through choice. Not through death, but through life." She raised her hands and moonlight streamed down, pure silver, pooling around Declan and me. "Place your mark," Mira instructed. Declan pulled me close. His canines extended. And as he bit down on my neck, I felt it, the true bond snapping into place. It was nothing like Caspian's false bond. Nothing like cold chains and stolen magic. This was warmth. Rightness. Two souls recognizing each other and choosing to intertwine. This was love. The revenant power drained out of me like water. I felt my form solidifying, becoming flesh and blood again. Felt my heart start beating, an actual heart, not just the memory of one. Felt warmth spreading through limbs that had been cold for 6 days. My hair darkened from white back to copper. My eyes shifted from silver to green. The lightning scars faded, didn't disappear completely, but became faint silver lines instead of glowing marks. I was alive. Fully, completely, impossibly alive. I collapsed against Declan, overwhelmed. He caught me, held me, and I felt his emotions through our new bond: love, relief, joy, hope, all tangled together. "Welcome back," he whispered against my hair. "It's good to be back," I said. The crowd erupted in cheers. My siblings rushed forward, gathering me into a crushing hug. Even stern Alpha Magnus had tears in his eyes. "You did it," Willow said. "You actually did it." "We did it," I corrected. "All of us. Together." Elder Mira approached. "The moon goddess is pleased. I can feel her approval from here." "Is she?" I asked. I didn't get to thank her properly. For the chance. For the choice. "You thanked her by using her gift wisely," Mira said. "By choosing justice over vengeance. By proving that even the worst betrayal can't break a soul that chooses to heal." The celebration lasted for hours. Food, drink, music, wolves from different packs mingling and laughing and choosing unity over division. As the night deepened, Declan and I slipped away from the party. Walked through the forest hand in hand, relearning the simple pleasure of touch. "What happens now?" he asked. "What do you want to do with your life, now that you have it back?" "Travel," I said immediately. "Visit other packs. Teach them about the healer's code. Make sure what happened to me can never happen to anyone else." "Very noble. And practical," I added. "Plus, I've been dead for nearly a week. I have a lot of living to catch up on." "We'll have to start with food," Declan said. "You haven't eaten in 6 days. You must be starving." The moment he said it, hunger hit me like a physical force. Mortal needs, mortal sensations, all rushing back. "Yes," I said. "Food. Sleep. Sunlight that doesn't weaken me. All the things I took for granted before. Welcome back to mortality, Declan said. It's inconvenient and messy and absolutely worth it. Yeah, I agreed. It really is. We returned to the celebration. I ate until I was uncomfortably full, drank wine that tasted like heaven, danced with my siblings and my mate and anyone else who asked. And as midnight approached, as the party began to wind down, I looked around at the wolves gathered here. From different packs, different territories, different backgrounds, all united in choosing something better. We'd built this. In 6 days and a lifetime of choices. Built something worth surviving for. Day 6 ended with me alive, bonded, and surrounded by pack. One more day remained. Time to make it count. Chapter 11. The New Order. Day 7. My last day that had been promised. Except I wasn't Revenant anymore. I was alive. Which meant technically I'd succeeded, broken the false bond, reclaimed life, restored my connection to Declan. But I'd made promises. About establishing new laws. About protecting the vulnerable. About making sure no other healer or Omega or anyone else suffered what I'd suffered. Time to deliver. The gathering was held in neutral territory. A massive clearing where representatives from 20 packs assembled. Alphas, betas, elders, even some Omegas who'd finally been given voices in pack decisions. I stood at the center with Declan beside me, Marcus and Willow flanking us, and addressed them all. 6 days ago, I began. Murdered by my own father in a conspiracy that involved forced bonding, dark magic, and blood sacrifice. I was brought back as Revenant, given divine power to deliver justice. And in those 6 days, I learned something important. I paused, meeting eyes around the circle. The system is broken, I said. Not just my father. Not just the conspirators. The entire structure that allowed it to happen. A culture that values strength over compassion. That treats Omegas as disposable. That gives Alphas absolute authority with no accountability. That sees rare gifts like healing as resources to exploit instead of blessings to protect. Murmurs of agreement. Some resistance from older, more traditional Alphas. So I'm proposing something radical, I continued. The Healer's Code, laws that protect not just healers, but everyone who's vulnerable. Real consequences for Alphas who abuse power. Council representation for Omegas. Mandatory investigation of suspicious deaths. An end to forced bonding, dark magic, and political marriages where consent isn't freely given. Those laws will weaken us, one old Alpha said. Make packs soft. Unable to make hard decisions. No, I said firmly. They'll make us stronger. A pack that protects its weakest members is a pack worth dying for. A pack that exploits them is just a collection of predators waiting to turn on each other. You speak from your experience, Elder Mira said. Share it. Show them what the old ways cost. So I did. I shared everything, my father's conspiracy, Elena's murder, Declan's anguish, my death and transformation. Every detail. By the end, the resistance had crumbled. Even the traditional Alphas looked shaken. The Healer's Code passes, Alpha Magnus declared. Irepeak adopts it fully. Thornwood as well, Marcus added. One by one, Alphas around the circle affirmed. Not all of them, a few held out, clinging to the old ways. But enough. More than enough to start real change. There's one more thing, I said. About the prophecy. About my bloodline and what it will become. The crowd leaned in, listening. The prophecy said powerful children would rise from my union, I explained. Children who could either save or destroy the wolf world. My father tried to control that. To ensure they became weapons instead of threats. To use my gift for political gain. And now, someone asked. Now I'm going to raise them, I said simply. When they come. However they come. To be kind, strong, and free. To use their gifts for healing and protecting. To be better than what came before. I placed my hand on my stomach, still flat, no sign yet, but the bond with Declan was new and strong, and these things happened quickly with true mates. They won't be weapons, I said. They'll be hope. Living proof that the worst betrayal can't break a soul that chooses to heal. The gathering lasted hours more. Details were hammered out. Alliances formed. The foundation of a new wolf culture began to take shape. As sunset approached, as day 7 drew to a close, I found myself standing at the edge of the sacred grove one more time. Thinking about what you gave up? Declan asked, joining me. A little, I admitted. The Revenant power was intoxicating. Walking through walls. Appearing in dreams. Being unkillable. It was hard to surrender. But you did. Because being alive with you is worth more than being powerful and alone, I said. I learned that. In 6 days as Revenant, I learned that mercy matters more than might. That love matters more than power. That choosing to heal is braver than choosing to harm. Your father never learned that, Declan said. No, I agreed. He died inside years before I killed him. Traded his humanity for authority. Became exactly what he feared, something monstrous. Do you forgive him? I thought about that. Really thought. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday. Maybe not. But I refused to let his choices define my future. He took 6 days of my life. He doesn't get to take the rest. Declan pulled me close. What do you want the rest to look like? This, I said. Peace. Love. Children raised in safety. A pack that values compassion as much as strength. A world where being weak doesn't mean being worthless. That's a pretty ambitious future. I died and came back, I pointed out. I think I can handle ambitious. He laughed. Kissed me. And through our bond, I felt his absolute certainty we were going to make it. Together. As the sun set on day 7, as the last light faded from the sky, I felt a presence. The moon goddess. Not physically manifested, but there nonetheless. You chose well, her voice whispered in my mind. Life over death. Love over power. Hope over despair. I'm proud of you, my child. Thank you, I sent back. For the choice. For the chance. For believing I could be better than my circumstances. You were always going to be better, she said. I just gave you the tools to prove it. Now go. Live. Love. Build the future you fought so hard to reclaim. Her presence faded. And I was left standing in the grove with my mate, my family gathering behind us, and the rest of my life stretching out ahead. Day 7 ended not with death or transformation or dramatic revelation. Just with life. Simple, beautiful, impossibly precious life. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Epilogue. The choice affirmed. 5 years later. I stood in the sacred grove, the place where I'd died and been reborn, where dark magic had been cleansed and replaced with hope. My daughter played nearby. Lyra Thornwood Stormborn, for years old, with her father's dark hair and my green eyes and gifts that were already manifesting. She could heal small wounds with a touch and sometimes knew things before they happened. The first of the prophesied bloodline. Powerful and kind in equal measure. Mama, she called. Look what I did. She held up a bird with a broken wing. As I watched, she concentrated and silver light flowed from her small hands. The wing straightened. The bird flew away. That's beautiful, sweetie, I said. Did you ask the bird first? Yes. It said please help, so I did. She could talk to animals too, apparently. That was new. Declan joined us, our son on his shoulders. Roran, 2 years old, already showing signs of being able to shift at will. Something that shouldn't be possible before puberty. Your children are terrifying, Declan said cheerfully. In the best way. They're going to change the world, I agreed. Just like the prophecy said. For better. Definitely better. We're making sure of that. 5 years. 5 years since I died and returned. 5 years of building something new, new laws, new culture, new hope. Thornwood Pack thrived under Marcus's leadership. Willow served as his beta, fierce and fair. Elena's children had been adopted by my siblings and were growing up loved and safe. Victor had become the most vocal advocate for the Healer's Code, spending his days teaching young warriors about the importance of protecting the vulnerable. Genuine redemption, earned through years of service. Caspian had dissolved his alliance plans and focused on internal reform. Nightshade Pack was still powerful, but no longer brutal. He'd even bonded with an Omega. A choice that shocked everyone and proved people could change. My father had died in prison 2 years ago. Alone. Unrepentant to the end. I'd gone to his funeral but hadn't cried. Just stood there feeling nothing. He'd made his choices. Lived with the consequences. I'd made mine. Chosen life, love, mercy. And built a future worth living. Mama? Luna tugged my hand. The moon lady is here. I looked up. Saw the goddess manifested in the grove, visible only to Luna and me, apparently. My daughter's gifts included seeing divine beings. Hello, Lyra, the moon goddess said. I thought I'd check in. See how you're managing. Well, I said. Really well. Thank you. For everything. You thanked me by using your gift wisely. By choosing the harder path. By proving that death isn't the end, it's sometimes the beginning. She smiled at Luna. Hello, little one. You're going to be magnificent. Luna waved shyly. The prophecy is unfolding, the goddess continued. Your children will reshape the wolf world. But not through conquest or domination. Through healing. Through teaching. Through showing that strength and compassion aren't opposites, they're partners. That's what I hope, I said. That's what I know. She began to fade. Live well, Lyra Thornwood. You've earned it. She disappeared. Luna looked up at me. Mama? Why did you have to die? The question hit harder than expected. I knelt beside her. Because sometimes, I said carefully, the world needs to break before it can heal. Sometimes people need to see the consequences of cruelty before they'll choose kindness. I died so others wouldn't have to. So you could grow up in a world that values healing more than harm. Did it hurt? Yes. It hurt a lot. Are you glad you came back? I looked at her. At Roran giggling on Declan's shoulders. At my mate's warm smile. At the grove transformed from death's sight to garden. Every single day, I said. I'm glad every single day. Good, Luna said. 'Cause I'm glad too. You're the best, Mama. She ran off to chase butterflies and I stood, leaning into Declan. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. Just thinking about choices. About the one the moon goddess gave me 5 years ago. Regrets? Not a single one. She offered me peace in death or power in life. I chose power. Used it to fight for justice. Then traded it for love. Best decision I ever made. Even though it meant giving up being unkillable and terrifying, especially because of that, I said. Being Revenant taught me that power without purpose is just violence. That mercy takes more strength than murder. That choosing to heal is braver than choosing to harm. I touched the faint silver scars on my arms, the only remaining marks from my time as Revenant. Barely visible except in moonlight. I was given 7 days to choose between vengeance and justice, death and life, power and love, I said. And every day I chose healing. Chose mercy. Chose hope. Those 6 days as Revenant shaped me, but these 5 years as a living wolf, mate, and mother, these define me. No more near-death experiences? Declan asked. No more near-death experiences, I agreed. Just life. Messy, complicated, beautiful, mortal life. I'll drink to that, he said. We gathered our children and headed back toward Pack territory. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. And as we walked, I thought about the name we'd chosen for our daughter. Luna. Moon. A reminder of what I'd been, moon-blessed, divine-powered, death incarnate. And a promise of what she'd become, light in darkness, healing in pain, hope in despair. I died at my own forced wedding. Returned from death with divine power. Chosen justice over vengeance, mercy over murder, life over eternal power. And I'd do it all again, exactly the same way, to get here. To this moment. To this life. To this love. My name is Lyra Thornwood. I was murdered for being inconvenient. I returned as Revenant. I chose to heal instead of harm. And this is the story of how love conquered death, how mercy proved stronger than might, and how the weakest choice, forgiveness, became my greatest strength. Not an ending. A beginning. The end.